Welcome back into A to Z here on Locked On Sports Atlanta as we are post NFL draft and reacting. And joining me right now, she's had one busy 24 hours. She, I think, is still technically Atlanta's best sports broadcaster, but I get to call her a coworker now because technically we work for the same company, sportscaster for 11 Live. It is Maria Martin joining us here on A to Z. Maria, welcome. Always great to have you. Finally, I get to be in the host chair, and you have to sit here and listen to my questions.
I'm excited about it because normally I'm the one getting to ask you questions, and that was one heck of an intro. Next time that I'm the host, I feel like I gotta, give you a better intro because that was ridiculous.
My intro, yeah, I know. Yeah. I'm a one-upper. It just tends to happen that way. As we see, again, we are here right now, right post the NFL draft. It's been a crazy day for you as you're still in the studio at 11 Alive, but. I know you were out at Trayvon Walker's party and you had Ronald Acuna tonight and everything else. So your draft coverage was a little bit sort of not focused on the Falcons, but clearly you saw the pick and the reaction to it. So what was your reaction to the Falcons taking wide receiver Drake London at 8 overall?
Well, do you want me to start with what I thought the Falcons should have done?
Yeah,
because I can tell you that. Okay, because we all like to play GM in this scenario, right? Because that's just fun. That's what the NFL draft is all about. And I'm no expert, but I thought that the Falcons should have traded down. And the reason for that, and they could have gotten a receiver later. They just need everything right now. And so I think by trading down, you would have opened yourself up to getting a lot more picks. I didn't think it was out of the realm of possibility that they were going to take a receiver at 8 overall. I was just a little shocked and surprised, I think, as everybody else was on Twitter, because really he wasn't even the best receiver available. And they did start the flurry of receivers. You saw everybody took a couple of receivers after the Falcons picked him up, but he was the first off the board that night or tonight. And I just think it's interesting because obviously there is a need for wide receiver, given the fact that Calvin Ridley is no longer going to be playing for the Falcons this season or the foreseeable future. Maybe we'll never see him again. We're not sure. So there is an obvious immediate need for a wide receiver for the Falcons, and Marcus Mariota or whoever is going to be the quarterback does need help. And I do think that this does give immediate help, but they need so many things. So I would have liked to see them move down and grab a couple more picks. But shocked, I think, is the good word for me. And I think Twitter's more disappointed than shocked, I think, right?
Yeah, I think disappointed is fair. I think there's a lot of people on Twitter, and the best analogy I can come up with is that you have a broken car and there are a lot of things wrong with it. And instead of addressing the engine and the transmission, you decided to put new rims on your tires first. A new paint job. I mean, these were things that felt like it was done a little bit out of order, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of people maybe felt that way in last year's draft as well, too. They picked Kyle Pitts when they had a first round pick as well. And a lot of people thought that they needed some other needs above the tight end. So it's interesting. I do think that there were some obvious needs that were a little bit should have been more prioritized rather than the wide receiver. Like, I think they need edge or an offensive tackle more than they need a wide receiver at this point, because you do have a couple of weapons in the Falcons that you can use. Cordero Patterson, you can use him kind of wherever in this scheme that Arthur Smith has built kind of around this offense so far. And of course, you've got Kyle Pitts, who is just getting into the very beginning of his NFL career. So, I think that's a pretty good analysis, Zinno. I think that putting new rims on a car and just trying to make it look good and old car is kind of what they did.
Yeah, certainly. And again, it's not, a good start, I think a lot of Falcons fans feel, to the draft, but it was a very good night for the Georgia Bulldogs, the defending national champions. You get 4 first-round picks going. A lot of people thought there was going to be more, but it's still Travon Walker gets the number 1 overall pick. You were at his draft celebration, so clearly he was elated at being the number 1 overall pick, because nobody 2 weeks ago really had him slated as the number 1 guy to go. But here we are, Georgia Bulldog, number 1 overall.
Listen, that's what I think is so fascinating about the Trayvon pick, is because just a couple of weeks ago, nobody thought that this kid was going to go number 1 overall. In fact, a lot of people nationally, I mean, we know who Trayvon is here, of course, and he dominated at Georgia in his senior year in particular. It was his first year as a starter ever, which is crazy because you're picking up a guy number 1 overall who's only started in college for 1 year fully at the defensive end position. So I think it's interesting. He's clearly incredible, and he's very versatile defensively. I think he's going to bring a lot to the pass rush for the Jaguars, a team that needs a lot of help as well. This is their second consecutive year with that number 1 overall pick. But yeah, he's super excited. He even said he was a little bit surprised when he got the phone call, and I believe that because just 2 weeks ago, we had no idea that Trayvon was even in the conversation as coming number 1 off the board. But, he was one of the difference makers in a very prolific Georgia defense, perhaps the best ever that we're going to see in college football. So unfortunately, those guys are coming off the board for Kirby Smart. He's going to have to reload on the defense, and I think he'll be able to do that. But good for Travon Walker. Probably a part of him might be sad he's going to Jacksonville. Hopefully not, because he's going to get paid and all that. But off he goes, number 1 overall. I'm pretty surprised.
On the bright side for him, I guess he's played the cocktail party a couple of times, so he knows the stadium fairly well. But then Jordan Davis ends up in Philadelphia, and Quay Walker and why am I blanking? Oh God,
Devontae Wyatt.
Thank you. Both go to Green Bay, so they end up in the same team. And look, it was a banner night for the Georgia defense. Now there's still some names left to be bandied about as we head into the second round, and who knows? Maybe the Falcons, one of their 2 picks, could end up with a Georgia Bulldog. I guess that would be fitting and at least, appease the fans a little bit, right?
Yeah, I think so. What I've seen within this whole last week is that all Falcons fans wanted were Georgia guys. I mean, and of course, because that's who people are fans of around here. I saw Jordan Davis as a need that they wanted, even Nakobe Dean, who's still out there, which would be great. He could be a great addition for the Falcons, but it'd be great to get a Georgia guy on the Falcons, but we'll see.
Yeah, but there's myth out there that the Falcons don't like to take Georgia players, and well, a lot of them are good. I mean, look, there's still Lewis Sign out there. And you mentioned Nakobe Dean. Pickens is still out there as a possibility at wide receiver, but they don't need wide receiver because they drafted one at 8 overall, which I'm still not all that content with. I just, again, I can't really swallow the fact that you passed up on an offensive tackle, you passed up on a D end. Oh, by the way, and Jermaine Johnson, it didn't go to like 24.
I know. I was pretty surprised by that.
And you could argue too that maybe they got it right in that sense. Like if so many other teams passed them at 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, all the way into the mid-20s, maybe a lot of other teams were seeing the same things that the Falcons saw in not taking them with that pick. But it's just one of those where I just feel all I asked for, Maria, was that they made it easy on themselves. Like, I don't know many people that would have second guessed the Jermaine Johnson pick at 8, right? Like that would have been the one that everybody would have been like, okay, I understand it. I get it. This is where the guy's projected. I mean, everybody had him projected as a top 12 pick, right? And so the fact that he fell to 24, I think is telling, but still, sometimes those guys who fall like that end up having much better careers and you end up eating it for letting them go.
No, it's true. I was having this conversation with someone the other day when we talk about these top draft picks. A lot of the times, all these guys that go 1 through 10, 1 through 12, whatever you want to say, don't pan out to be what we expect them to be, right? And so a lot of those diamonds in the rough or the gems come in those later rounds and even in the later rounds of the first round. So, I mean, when a guy slides like Jermaine did, obviously the clear projection of that is that something was happening and teams were all on the same page. They saw something, whether it would be, I don't know. I mean, it could be anything. We don't know. We'll never know, maybe. So I thought it was interesting. When I started to see him slide, I was like, okay, maybe I started to believe the Falcons a little bit in this moment that they didn't pick Jermaine because I thought he might have been a good pick at 8. I still think you could have gone tackle. You could have gone tackle at 8, and everybody probably would have been super excited about that because there is a very strong immediate need for tackle tomorrow for the Falcons. Evan Neal, of course, comes off the board first. He's incredible. He's a freak of nature, and he will be obviously amazing at the next level. So I don't know. I mean, they could have gone Charles Cross. They could have. He was available, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, and we're doing this right now post-draft on Thursday night. I know a lot of you guys are listening to this on Friday afternoon, midday, whatever it is, but Lewis Sign actually goes 32nd overall to the Minnesota Vikings. So now 5 Georgia players taken in the first round. Nakobe Dean, kind of the one guy on the defense that's left now, and the Falcons have 2 picks. And, again, I don't necessarily know that they need to take him. They certainly need inside linebacker help, right? Yeah. That was the other position outside of wide receiver. I felt like they couldn't go at 8. I was okay with offensive tackle. I was okay with cornerback. I was okay certainly with a pass rusher. It was just wide receiver and inside linebacker where I didn't want them to go. And we'll see about the quarterback situation. If you had to handicap it, you still have Malik Willis, Desmond Ritter, and Matt Corral all there. Now you have some teams in the second round that are a little quarterback needy after all these crazy trades that went on, including the Houston Texans, who will pick before them. The Seattle Seahawks picked twice before the Falcons. So it is possible that, and maybe even the Buccaneers picking at 33 now would take a quarterback just because they know Tom Brady may be on his last year. But given all that said, there's still a chance that a quarterback could come off the board for the Falcons with the 11th pick in the second round.
Well, and that's a good point, because earlier in the week, General Manager Terry Fontenot said, we may come out of this draft with a quarterback. He did not say that meant the first round. And I think a lot of people maybe misinterpreted that a little bit. He said the draft, and he didn't guarantee that they would come out of the draft with a quarterback. He just said it is a possibility. He said they could get him in free agency. Of course, obviously all of us know that. One win, I will say, for the Falcons tonight has to do with the quarterback. They didn't pick a quarterback at 8. That is a win for me, because I thought that would have been a reach at 8. I didn't really like this quarterback draft class. I mean, we've seen only one came off the board in the first round, and that was Kenny Pickett. And there's a reason for that. I didn't think that this was a very strong quarterback class collectively. However, if you pick somebody in the second round, at the third round, who knows? Maybe they prove me wrong and they pan out to be something fantastic. Malik Willis, he is a guy from right around here. Maybe you pick him up in a later round. It's possible. So I'm just glad that they didn't reach for a quarterback. That was my biggest concern, because I felt like maybe last year a tight end was a reach, even though, granted, I don't want to get too much into the weeds of last year's draft, but if you remember, all those quarterbacks were flying off the board. And so in their belief, I'm sure they didn't get the guy that they wanted, and so they were going to go to the next obvious need. Well, this year, I thought that it would have been a reach no matter what, and so I think that's a win for the Falcons. I'm not happy necessarily with the wide receiver off the board at 8, but however, they didn't pick a quarterback, so I'm happy. That is a win for me and a win for the Falcons.
All right, well, let's pivot from disappointment to elation, a.k.a. the Falcons to the Braves, and Ronald Acuna, who came back tonight for the Atlanta Braves. I mean, look, the excitement around him coming back was off the charts, right? Like everybody was waiting for this to happen. He is back. It was a good night in the sense that he just played. He got 9 innings in, feels comfortable, looks good. So what was kind of the general reaction around Ronald Acuna from not only the media, but just everybody around Truist Park and the fans and his teammates?
Well, it's been such a crazy 24 hours, like you said, when I first came on, for me personally, because I was with Ronald Acuna in Gwinnett last night, and then I was with him at Truist today, because, we didn't really think that he was going to be called up today. The obvious answer from the Braves is that his projected start date or return date was going to be May 6th, which is next Friday. Then there were kind of some rumblings that maybe he'd be available on Monday. And it's funny because I look over in the stands behind home plate where the scouts usually are, and I see General Manager Alex Anthopoulos watching him. And of course, his first at bat in Gwinnett last night, he gets on base, he gets a hit, an infield single, and now he's ready, and he's in Atlanta and he's back. It's been 292 games without him. It feels so long, especially a team that really needs a spark, like genuinely needs something good to happen. And hey, they won, which is great. Not saying that's because of Acuna, but he brings a lot of energy and emotion to the game. Everybody knows that. And of course, just what he is as a baseball player. But aside from that, he brings energy, he brings spark. He's obviously great to be around. All the people and all the fans and players love that he's back in the clubhouse. It's funny because I happened to walk in with him at the same time today. That was completely by accident. We were there super early, and he's throwing peace signs and just smiling real big. And I posted a picture on Twitter, and he is just beaming like crazy. You can tell he just loves baseball so much, and I think that everybody's missed that. Of course, they're gonna be ready to see him go yard. He didn't do that tonight, so hopefully that happens soon. But the Braves have sorely missed this dude. They won a World Series without him, but still, everybody's got to be super stoked to have him back.
Real quick, and again, I know there was some consternation after, and Acuna said he plans on playing tomorrow on Friday. Again, we're recording this Thursday night after the draft, but the intention is for him to play again, in back-to-back days. They're not going to rest him. I mean, what's the sort of, did Brian Snicker indicate if there would be a rest plan, a DH plan kind of deal for him?
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest with you, because I didn't hear. But I will say that even in Gwinnett last night, he continued to reiterate to me personally that he feels better than he did prior to tearing the ACL, which is scary for everyone in baseball. And I asked him, I said, is there any reason why you feel that way? And he just said, no. I mean, a lot of it was he had extra time to train, because normally in a regular season, he doesn't have as much time to focus on the little things and just his body. And he just said that by taking that extra time, he feels a lot better. He feels different. Nothing really schematically has changed for Acuna. He's done the same things he's done every single year in the offseason, but there's been more of an emphasis on his training. And he said that's made the difference. So he kept saying he felt good. And really the goal last night, or 2 nights ago, since everyone's listening to this on Friday, 2 nights ago in Gwinnett, when he had that rehab start, it was his home debut for the Stripers. The goal was for him to go 7 innings. He went 9, and because he wanted to go 9, the Braves did not want him to go 9, and he did. And so I think that was the clear indication. I'm ready. That was him telling them, I can run around in right field. I can field balls. I can hit. I can do everything you want me to do. I'm ready. I'm back. I'm healthy. And so, I think that it's going to be full go for Ronald. And the only person holding him back would be the Braves, just because they want to try to ease him in. And even the Gwinnett Stripers manager told me he's been going a little bit harder than someone that I would recommend has torn their ACL and is easing back into baseball, but he keeps looking at me and telling me I'm okay. So they don't really try to reel him back in. So I think it's full go with Ronald. You know how he is. I mean, literally, my producer, Megan, just reminded me he rolled up in an ambulance today to Truist Park. We asked him, why the heck did you do that? And he just said he wanted to do something different. It was his style. So it's Acuna. He's flashy. We love him. He's back. It's great.
Yeah, it certainly is. Nothing like playing a prank on everybody your first day back at work.
Oh, my gosh. I know.
Listen, thank you so much for the time. I know it's been a crazy day for you. I know my audience appreciates you giving me some time, and certainly a lot of great insight and perspective. She is Atlanta's best sports reporter. It is Maria Martin. You're the best, girl. Thank you so much for the time. Certainly appreciate it. You go get some rest and enjoy yourself.
I am going to be tanning all day and by the pool. So if you need me, I won't be tweeting. Zinno, you're the best. Thanks. Appreciate it.
There you go. Thank you very much. All right. Maria Martin from 11 Alive. We'll be right back here on A to Z on Locked On Sports Atlanta, free on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you search Locked On Sports Atlanta.